Since I'm bored, I'll spice things up with a sword.
Can I swallow your sword later? Hello, and welcome to Twisted Carnival. This is a horror romance dating sim in which you find yourself in a strange circus. However, as the night goes on, you realize that something is very, very wrong. And obviously, we are going to romance the Jester right here. His name is Jude, and apparently he is morbidly unpredictable and has a dark side. And you know I love unhinged men with dark sides. So, let's get started. Festivities. Bright lights. Fists of the Carnival of Curiosities. The air buzzed with activity. In the distance, I could make out rows and rows of booths and sideshow tents of various sizes. I'm so lucky to be here. It's such a rare opportunity. The Carnival of Curiosities only happens once every 5 years. And it's so exclusive that people say you can only ever see it once in your life. I'll have to say though, MC design is very cute. I love the dress. There's a cat bag. Oh, that's so cute. I reached into my bag to make sure my trusty camera was still there. I had managed to sneak it in. I can't wait to capture as much of this rare carnival as possible. I walked around as if it were a dream, taking in as much of the lively atmosphere and sights as I could. The slideshow tents were decorated beautifully with rich, vibrant cloth. The carnival workers bustled around. Game and food stalls were crowded. In a clearing, there was a giant statue of a man. A dazzling purple cloth was tied around its base. It almost seemed like it was welcoming all carnival goers. It stuck out somehow from its surroundings, probably because it was the only statue, and wrapped around it was the only purple item in sight. Upon closer inspection, I realized it looked like one of my mom's sculptures of my dad. How could one of my mom's sculptures be here though? Before I could analyze the statue further, a carnival worker interrupted my train of thought and jammed an itinerary in my hands. You look a little lost. Never fear, I'm here to guide you through the Carnival of Curiosities. Thanks. I scanned the itinerary. There were multiple listings for various sideshows taking place tonight. There's a lot going on, How about I explain the main sideshow attractions? Because of conflicting performance times, you'll only be able to see 2 of them tonight. So which performer do you want to hear more about? Oh my god, they're all so hot. He is so tall. He's so tall. He's so sweet. Oh my god, you though, this man has my heart. Look at the hip cutouts. Low key though, he's kind of giving me Sam Pokowski vibes from Honkai Star Rail, but the outfit is giving me Dr. Ratio. Oh, he's pretty. Oh no. Let's ask about all of them though. First up, future husband. Oh, you're hot. Oh. Jude the Jester, Master Illusionist, is a marvelous show of mystery, humor, and terror that will delight you. Oh yeah, I bet he can delight me, alright? And behold as Jude performs astounding tricks of illusion, such as making objects disappear and reappear. Yeah, he can make an object disappear and reappear repeatedly, if you know what I mean. Yay, shut up! And change shape. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't. He'll also entertain you with his playful pranks and morbid gestures. Morbid gestures? Between you and me, is to die for. Oh, I know. You know, if you're into sexy trolls who dress impeccably. I am. How'd you know? You know me so well. Let's ask about this gorgeous man. Remy the Magnificent Mage is a stunning show of sorcery, enchantment, and wonders that will mesmerize you. Gaze in wonder as Remy conjures up magic, spirits, and creatures that defy explanation. He'll fascinate you with his mastery of ancient lore, mystical symbols, and arcane secrets. Smart, capable, and reserved, he attracts a lot of attention, but doesn't care at all. What a waste. So hot though. And also here we have the redhead that is super boobalicious with the cute lion plushie on his hip. Leon the Lion Tamer Extraordinaire is a spectacular show of courage, charisma, and command that will astonish you. I mean, he's already astonishing me with the boobies. Ugh. I just realized he's got a collar on. Witness as Leon roams free with Lionel, the fastest and most majestic lion in the world. Lionel obeys Leon's every command, from sitting and roaring to jumping through hoops of fire. By the way, Leon's pretty easy on the eyes and a total stud. At least that's what others have said. And finally, this sweet-looking man, Casey the Acrobat Virtuoso, is a dazzling display of agility, grace, and skill that'll leave you breathless. Oh, breathless, you say? Maybe in another timeline. Watch as he performs incredible feats of balance, strength, and coordination on the high wire, trapeze, and aerial seal wheel. He'll amaze you with his twists, flips, and spins that defy gravity and logic. So he's a bit freaky, huh? Not to mention, many say he's as charming as he is talented. A real white knight type. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. That can't be Casey, my close childhood friend, right? We have stakes there then. Alright, let's continue. Look at the time. If you don't hurry, you'll miss the first main sideshow attraction. Thank you. As I rushed off, I stared at the itinerary. If I can only see 2 main attractions, who should I see first? Jude the Jester? I mean, that's why we're here? 'Cause he's hot?
Welcome!
Welcome, folks. I am the Carnival of Curiosity's illustrious show mistress. Get ready for a marvelous show of mystery, humor, and terror that will delight you. She is hot. Hey, yo. Introducing Jude the Jester, Master Illusionist. Oh my god. Okay, he kind of came out of nowhere. Bathed in the spotlight, Jude remained motionless and silent for a while. All he did was stare at the audience with an intense, half-crazed gaze that commanded their attention. Yeah, it's commanding something in me, alright? Jude jumped backwards, perfectly balancing atop a giant ball. There he became motionless again, but this time was staring at the ceiling. I can't shake the goosebumps I feel just looking at him like this. He remained perfectly still and quiet. For what seemed like ages as stragglers joined the audience and got settled in. Oh, you wanna get married? Oh my god. Wow. As if reacting to some unknown cue, Jude's attention snapped back to the audience, his eerie expression unsettling. The audience became completely hushed. Oh, that's so cute. Look at the one with the little lute. Completely ignoring the fact that he is juggling a brain and a heart and an eyeball, 3 different colored balls materialized from thin air. Jude juggled them while effortlessly balancing atop of the giant ball. He caught one in his mouth and then spat it out so that it landed perfectly at the front of the stage, closest to the audience. He threw the remaining 2 balls, revealing that he wasn't juggling balls at all, but real human organs. Jude wickedly grinned, showing off his bloody mouth. His teeth are sharp. Stop it! I can't with this man. He brought out a skull, mounting it on his hand and treating it like a puppet. Don't worry, those organs are mine. You can rest assured that every part is very well taken care of and treasured. After all, I used to be Jude's lover. Ever since dying in a tragic accident, Jude takes care of me so very well. I'm polished and my organs are kept nice and healthy. Oh, his laugh is hot. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Oh my god, I'm Dunyan rings. Jude laughed and kissed the skull. Contrary to his words, he threw it aside carelessly. The audience was visibly confused, but were at the edge of their seats. They were probably unable to look away due to a mix of morbid curiosity and entertainment. Jude pounced off the ball easily and then picked up a lute. I may have taken things a bit too far. How about I sing a tune and mix things up? Hello, beauties. I'm an illusionist and a jester, weaving tales of spectres and darkness that festers. Of the past and of the future, all are intertwined into one of blood and of carnage, of the woe you can't outrun. Bloodshed gives way to life, you poor unwilling sacrifice. How titillated and amazed, the better to bear our pain. If you had half a mind, you'd escape while there was still time. Be enamored and be complacent through your strife and share your life. Whatever you do, don't pin the blame on me. I am but a collector, a curator of treasures shiny, to bring a bit of delight to a place otherwise filled with fright. Remember my name, face and voice, we may be destined if you make the right choice. You're so hot. You're so hot. Oh my god. You're so hot. Shit. The audience seemed to enjoy the tune, but Jude scowled and threw his lute away.
Since I'm bored, I'll spice things up with a sword.
Are you gonna swallow the sword? Can I swallow your sword later? Jude procured a small sword, swallowed it, and pulled it out easily and cleanly. Oh, ayo! He then brought out a larger sword, swallowed it easily, and pulled it out of his mouth and throat. Only this time it was drenched in blood. Oh, he's a freak! Jude gagged, holding his throat. He choked and gasped for air before falling to the floor. The audience was shocked. A few people even screamed for help. Jude swiftly stood up and laughed at the audience as if scorning them for their concern. Can he scorn me? So, no head? Shut up, Yiddy. His jeering head then started to slowly turn more and more transparent until it disappeared. Headless, Jude's unsettling cackle never dissipated. I'm getting goosebumps. How is he doing that?
Worried about my head? Don't be, you sillies. It's right here.
Shut up, Yiddy. Don't say it, I swear to God. Jude raised up his own severed talking head.
Would a brave audience member be willing to reattach it for me?
Me? Me. Hi. Without a response or waiting for any volunteers, Jude threw his severed head into the audience. I nearly shrieked when it landed on my lap. I wasn't one to get easily scared at horror movies or the like, but his head looked so real that I was stunned for a while.
Oh, come on, I don't have all night. It's quite uncomfortable without one's head, you know.
Jude rolled his eyes as he said that, looking up at me. I jolted up with Jude's head cradled between my palms. I stared at the head closely, looking for signs it was a fake, but no matter how much I stared at it, it looked real. I sprinted towards the stage, thoroughly freaked out. Oh my god, he's so cute. This is impossible. Oh my god, I can't get over his teeth.
Improbable, but not impossible.
As I approached his headless body, Jude bowed towards me, probably so I could more easily attach his head. I quickly thrust the bottom of his head against his neck stump. It felt wild, ignoring the science of how that should even work.
Ow! You're so rough. Be more gentle.
Oh, wait, I thought you liked it rough. Jude yelped as if in pain, though it was clear he was enjoying himself. Oh, okay. I can work with that. Whole once again, Jude grinned at me, then bowed towards the audience.
Be gone. The show is over.
His entire body became transparent and disappeared. The lights went out with me still on stage. The audience members were able to find their way out. Light from the carnival filtered in through the exits and illuminated their paths. But I was so far in the tent that I was in pitch darkness. I groped around in the dark, hearing Jude very clearly snicker at me. His entertainment at my expense irritated me very quickly. Give me some light. If not, shut up. You're not being helpful. My lady, you ask too much from me. I'm merely a jester, an illusionist, not a magician who can conjure light. I scoffed and boldly tried to find my way through the dark, using my hands and staying low to the ground. Jude laughed at my every stumble, only increasing my irritation. I should have thrown your head away when I had the chance. How naughty that would have been. I was only entertaining Jude more and more with my grumbling, so I shut myself up and eventually found my way off the stage. Or at least, I thought I had. I felt myself trip over something and braced myself for impact. How clumsy. Jude clicked his tongue at me and caught me by the wrist. He could have cushioned my fall with his boobies. I don't need to hear that from you when you're the cause of the problem. Bold words for someone in your position. I felt as if I was hanging over a ledge. Nothing keeping me falling but Jude. Hi. He readjusted his grip and pulled me towards him, away from the ledge. I bumped into warmth, signifying just how close Jude was. Since your unfortunate human eyes aren't equipped for this, I'll kindly guide you. I could hear the amusement dancing in his voice. Jude smoothly glided in the darkness, keeping me close. I could barely make out a small sliver of light. I was more than a little frazzled by the time I exited the tent. Don't ever do that again. I scolded him, definitely still annoyed but oddly flushed. You're a bit different this time. I can't place my finger on it. More willful, passionate, alive. Wait, have I been here before? Either way, it'll be entertaining to observe you for longer tonight. What does that mean? Jude didn't respond. He waved at me and disappeared. This is too unreal. Surreal. I've got to get going or I'll miss the next show. I have to admit though, that was an experience. I looked back at Jude's tent. Light suddenly illuminated the darkness beyond the unfastened tent flap and I peeked in, curious. Jude was talking to the show mistress a bit further in. I finally found you. You're a slippery one. I'm glad I pinned you down. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather not let you pin me down. Yes, but can I pin you down instead? The double entendre in his words was clear. The show mistress clearly got riled up for a moment but calmed herself.
I see.
I don't know why I bother coming to speak with you at every carnival like this. But seeing as how preparations are complete, I've come to remind you and do your part and shepherd the lambs as necessary. Aye aye, show mistress sir. Jude mockingly saluted, then looked directly at me, making eye contact with his usual grin. I immediately pulled back. I could barely hear their voices now. What are you looking at? An inquisitive, shiny treasure. I walked quickly away. The carnival. A sea of lights and people buzzed with activity. I took out my itinerary. This is the last main attraction I can see. Who should I choose? Ooh, wait, who else do I want to see? The childhood friend part kind of intrigued me a little bit. But also Remy was very, very hot. I think I might go for Remy this time. Because I think depending on whose two acts you choose, you can actually get their endings. So in this run, I'll be able to get either Remy or Jude's.
Welcome!
Get ready for a stunning show of sorcery, enchantment, and wonder that will mesmerize you. Introducing Remy, the magnificent mage. Remy stood in the middle of the stage and bowed towards the audience. "You look big." "Oh, he's so cute." He didn't say a word as he moved towards a wooden table on the stage and picked up a magician's hat and wand. "Can I see his other wand?" He showed the audience the inside of the empty hat, tapped on its brim with his wand, and then stuck his hand in and pulled out a scaly horned creature. A baby dragon. No way! The little creature seemed real enough as it squirmed in Remy's grip and breathed out a small firebolt. Remy swiftly returned the creature to his hat and showed it to the audience. It was empty. He then tapped the hat with his wand again and stuck his whole arm in. The hat's material inhumanely stretched as Remy pulled out a large crystal geode. I could hear how heavy it was even from a distance as he plopped it on the table. He didn't stop there and reached into his hat yet again. This time, an alien-like plant with meat-eating jaws was revealed. He showed it off only for a second, before mysteriously returning it back into his hat. "Is that a chimera in your pocket, Remy, or are you just happy to see me?" Returning to the wooden table, Remy arranged a miscellany of objects before looking up at the audience and speaking for the first time in an authoritative, sure tone.
"You see here a vintage hand mirror, a voodoo doll, and a crystal ball.
Oh, his voice. So hot.
These objects have been imbued with magic and can communicate with the spirits of the dead and forces of nature.
Maybe you can imbue me with your magic, huh?" His hands began to glow blue.
These objects can perform various feats. Watch closely."
Transparent specters appeared, flying around Remy and wailing in low tones. They flew into the heavy wooden table and effortlessly hovered as he lifted his hands. He returned the table to the floor, and the spirits now flew into every tent stakes and all. The tent actually shook, then hovered a foot off the ground. In an instant, it was back on the ground, staked down and everything.
Next, I will show you a fearsome creature. As long as it's confined in its summoning circle, it can do you no harm.
There was a magic circle to the left of the stage, etched into the very wood itself. His hands glowed blue, and in an instant there was a ferocious creature atop the circle. It had the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake. It was the textbook definition of a chimera. It roared and tried to escape, but as Remy said, it was contained within the circle's confines. As quickly as it had appeared, it disappeared.
Now I'm going to need a volunteer. The volunteer will experience another plane of existence.
Is that what you call doing it with you? Remy then moved to a large wooden arcane box with an unknown sigil painted on the door to the top of the magic circle. Many volunteered immediately as Remy approached the audience and looked over the crowd placidly. As I was debating whether or not I should volunteer, Remy stopped right in front of me. He extended his hand in a gentlemanly fashion, slightly bowing as he waited for my decision. Oh, that's so sexy. I felt strangely compelled to accept even though I had been on the fence earlier. Oh, he's so pretty. I took his hand as Remy escorted me back onto the stage. Now that I was closer, I noticed magic floating in the air.
This box is a gateway to another dimension. There you'll be able to see strange and wonderful creatures.
He led me into the box and kept a hold of my hand to keep me focused on his instructions, I'd assumed.
Try not to struggle, panic, or move. Stay in the same area. Passively observe. Nothing more. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes. I nodded, nervous but excited. Remy closed the door. I could hear him chant in what sounded like a dead language. I was now in an unspeakably strange other world, still vaguely conscious of the audience and the magician I'd left behind but unable to see them. I was in a trance and couldn't move even if I wanted to, but I knew I had to be somewhere else entirely. Before me was a breathtaking triple sunset, with lush plant life and wildlife that was unrecognizable. I heard Remy chant again. I was in a daze when he opened the door to the wooden box, and the whole audience of people was staring at me. That was... wow, there was a triple sunset, and alien animals. I babbled a bit, unable to fully explain what I'd seen. The audience, however, was eating it up.
That concludes the show.
Remy bowed again towards the audience and they started filing out, chattering excitedly. A few people tried to approach Remy, but he seemed wholly uninterested and instead attended to me since I'd only walked about a step out of the box. Are you regaining your senses? Transporting can take a toll on one's body and mind. I'm fine, but I don't know what to say. You're the real deal. An actual magician. Remy emotionlessly nodded, not seeming to share my enthusiasm. Where did you send me? Is it possible to take pictures? Wouldn't it be so amazing to capture that world and share its sights and creatures? As Remy listened, he seemed slightly taken aback by my excitement. He hesitated for a moment but eventually spoke. It was another plane of existence. A reality that exists in this world but on a different vibrational frequency. I didn't actually teleport you anywhere. You're in the box the whole time but your molecules are vibrating so rapidly. None of this realm could see you. In that case, taking pictures may not even be an option. If they can't reach the correct vibrational frequency, then no. However, I've never tried it. It's a possible interesting experiment. After pondering for a while, Remy stared at me a little more closely, as if he were paying closer attention. If I wasn't mistaken, I even noticed a faint sparkle in his eyes. I'd never met someone so excited about visiting another vibrational plane. Most are wary or frightened. Don't get me wrong, I was nervous, but nothing's ever gained by giving in to fear. New experiences allow me to keep growing. New experiences allow for growth. Is that so? He echoed my words ponderously, and seemed to be mulling something else over. Well, if you ever need a camera woman who doubles as an extra-dimensional explorer, look me up. Remy snapped out of his thoughts and appeared rather amused. Perhaps I'll keep you in mind. It was nice meeting you. Remy acknowledged my words with a nod, then focused his attention on his magic tools. As I made my way off the stage, I noticed the show mistress had appeared on stage besides Remy. Remy spoke in a hushed tone. The preparations are complete. It shouldn't take long now. The show mistress, on the other hand, laughed loudly and clapped Remy on the shoulder. That's what I like to hear. By the way, you put on a spectacular performance. Did you see how much her eyes lit up? It was all thanks to you. I wonder who they're talking about. You! I walked quickly out of the tent as the remaining audience members trickled out. I wandered around the carnival grounds trying to decide what to do next. I passed by the entrance statue wrapped in a purple cloth, idly glancing up at it. I stopped and stared, finally snapping a picture. He really does look like my father. My father loved carnivals. He would have loved to have been here for this one. Rest in peace, Dad. Oh my, you can't just show up with your tongue sticking out. Jude, we need to talk about this. Oh my, what have we here? A wandering doll so prettied up and dear. Jude's playful voice came directly from behind me. I swiveled around quickly. You? What are you doing here?
Didn't I say I was going to observe you tonight? What's that between your ears? Fluff?
Oh, he's degrading. No, but I'm way past the point of wanting to understand what you've got going up there. What you have going on up there. I frowned while Jude wildly grinned.
Mysteries of fright and delight. Don't be shy. You know you want to take a peek.
I do. Whip it out. Let me see. I walked off, but Jude followed. So you were serious about observing me. What does that even mean? I've thought of something fun to do. You should come along. A sigh escaped my lips. Were you even gonna ask me if this is okay with me? Jude cackled and lightly patted my head. You're so adorable for even thinking you had a say in the matter. My pulse quickened in annoyance and I clenched my fists. However, I didn't want to let myself be affected by his words so much, so I took a deep breath and thought for a second. I know you're just trolling me. It's what you do. How about I consider doing the fun thing you thought of with you? If you'll come with me to get something to eat first. Jude stuck out his hand, and I stared at it. His grin didn't drop. Reluctantly, I put my hand in his and gave him a handshake. I cannot deal with his slutty little half glove. My god. Deal. I think the food vendors are around here somewhere. Here they are. I walked towards a dense row of small booths. It was insanely crowded, but the heavenly aroma lingering in the air nearly made me drool. Jude followed me, truly living up to his word and observing me closely. It made me feel a little self-conscious. Put your attention to better use, Jude. Help me decide what to eat. Jude's face dropped. That doesn't sound like fun. Don't you want some? He shrugged. Thoughtful for a moment. When in Rome, so why not? Oh, I know. How about funnel cakes? I haven't had one in years. With a bright smile, I got in line, and Jude shrugged again. Human food isn't really my thing, but the joy it brings them is delicious. Oh my god, he is so hot. He's so hot. Why do you look so good? He licked his lips. I ignored his cryptic words and rolled my eyes. Very dramatic and edgy, Jude. While staring at the scenery, I felt a random push from behind and was shoved into the person ahead of me.
Are you okay?
Oh my god, that voice caught me off guard. Oof. I recognized the voice immediately, given that I had spoken to him not long ago. Remy! People are always so eager to solve their hunger. It's not that I don't understand, but there's no need to be so uncivil. Remy, what a coincidence! Are you getting some funnel cake too?
No.
Oh, you should join us and get one. The more the merrier. I flashed him my brightest smile.
Daddy issues.
He's so mean! Remy is still buried in magic tomes while dealing with anxious attachment-style daddy issues. A merry laugh escaped Jude's lips. It was easy to tell at a glance that he cracked himself up. Instead of trying to dismiss us and everyone else, feel free to come along. Heaven knows you need the companionship. I was a bit taken aback by Jude's comments. Remy's eyes narrowed. Jude, still an insufferable snake who doesn't know how to control his yapping. I'm just gonna say this right now, but doing it with both of these two at the same time would be so much fun, because I feel like they would have a very aggressive and competitive dynamic. There, I said it.
Is that all you've got?
Mine was better. See? See? Jude tilted his head and grinned. Remy's frown deepened. Oh my god, I love this expression. Before a fight broke out, I stepped in between them. So, I see that you two know each other. I wouldn't say we know each other, he's simply a pest. I've had to clear out of my private library more than once. Knowledge is meant to be shared, not hoarded. And don't act as if you weren't interested in studying me at first. Whoa! I mean, I'm also pretty interested in studying you as well. Remy let out a little scoff. Despite not agreeing to outright join Jude and I, Remy stuck around and even ordered himself some funnel cake after I ordered some for myself and Jude. I was handed a large funnel cake topped with a cocoa hazelnut spread and strawberries. We were all silent as he tried our decked out desserts. This is heavenly. I am impressed. How is this fried goop so delectable? Jude was eating quickly and greedily. Despite Remy's silence, I could see a hint of joy creeping into his stoic features. He's so cute. How's yours, Remy? I think that's happiness I detect. Whatever joy I'd seen shadowed in Remy's features completely disappeared the moment I mentioned it.
It's good.
Yeah, Remy looked down at my food. Did you want to try mine? I held out my plate with a smile and Remy shook his head. He carefully thought for a moment before speaking again. You can try mine though, if you wish. You probably like it given your flavor preferences. I know we're talking about funnel cake, but a girl can dream. He offered me a piece, holding the bite near my lips. If I'm not mistaken, he wants to feed me. Ayo! The bite he held up to me looked delicious. It was topped with a raspberry spread, whipped cream and drizzled in chocolate. I gave the food a full look of both curiosity and longing. Should I accept? Accept Remy feeding me. I quickly ate the offered food, a bit embarrassed but loving Remy's choice of toppings. It's so good. Thank you. Remy looked away with a soft smile. If I wasn't mistaken, he seemed pleased at my reaction. It feels like I've just witnessed something rare. Feeding Yinny like a lovebird, huh? How unexpected. Are you jealous? Remy blinked at Jude, clearly surprised. A lovebird? I was only sharing. This kind of atmosphere is pleasant. I don't do this often, so I wanted to be cordial and offer up my sweets.
Here.
Ah, did you make that snide remark because I didn't share with you as well? Here. Is he feeding Jude? Remy held up a piece of his funnel cake for Jude to eat. Jude was tickled.
Don't mind if I do.
Now that I think about it, they look kinda good together. Jude graciously accepted Remy's offer, moaned in delight, and licked his— oh my god. Jude, drop the whimpering audio right now. I blushed a little at the scene, but I tried my best to keep my cool. I'm not keeping my cool. Moan louder. You seem to really like sweets, Remy. It's not the sweets in and of themselves, it's sharing them. I would share treats all the time like this with my master. He must be a precious person. I'm glad you have someone like that in your life. What kind of person is your master? Remy turned cold, his voice clipped. He was a very wise and capable person. Would you bet that his master was my dad? Remy said nothing more, and I got the distinct impression that I shouldn't have asked. Jude broke the tension with a loud cackle.
Daddy issues.
Don't take offense, CD. What did I tell you? Daddy issues. His words were almost sing-song. Remy said nothing in return, remaining motionless, though I was sure I saw him scowl lightly at Jude for a second. Jude cut off a piece of his funnel cake and held it up to my lips.
Do you want to try mine, sweet doll?
Your funnel cake or your other funnel cake? The one in your pants? Both? Should I accept? Also, he called me sweet doll. Accept Jude feeding me. Well, yours is good too, Jude. I cannot play this game. Oh my god. Oh my god. You eat adorably, like a little puppet. What?
Follow me.
Alright, I can't possibly wait any longer. Let's go do my fun thing now. Follow me. Jude nearly sang and sauntered off, clearly expecting me and Remy to follow. The haunted mansion. Remy didn't seem the least bit surprised, but he didn't seem opposed to the idea either. Of course, I brought Yiddy here to show her my collection. You're a collector. What do you collect? Oh, you know, shiny treasures and baubles, dogs, puppets, and corbels. I collect objects of only the greatest beauty and intrinsic value. Equal parts fashionable and tragic are essential, I'd argue. An obsession with shiny objects, vintage figures, and marionettes. I hope he doesn't turn me into a puppet. Remy noted more to himself. I don't mind you studying me, Remy. Can you two stop flirting? Is this a romance between me and Jude, or do you two wanna get it on? Because honestly, if that's the case, I can go with Casey or Leon. If you two really wanted to fandangle each other in the corner, be my guest. Why would you keep a collection like that in a public place where it's not safe? Why not keep such a riveting collection in the public eye? My beauties enjoy being admired and they are free to do as they desire. You're acting as if they have a will of their own. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurd notion. Because they do, and they each have their tragic backstories to boot. Some leave, some stay, some hide away. It's not up to me to decide, only to appraise their value and collect. Jude walked off, signifying the end of his mood to answer questions. Remy and I explored the haunted mansion with Jude at the forefront. He led us down a cobwebbed hallway with paintings and sculptures depicting gruesome murders and rituals. He then trotted into a Victorian-style bedroom. The canopy bed had flowing curtains, while the mattress had a large hole in the middle that was saturated with blood. The creaky rocking chair near the window moved by itself slowly. A music box played a melancholic lullaby on the nightstand.
Here it is, my dazzling collection.
I can't get over this expression, it's so hot. This whole game is just exposing me more and more. It's like, wow, Yiddy, not just a monster fucker, but also a clown fucker as well, aren't you? Freak. Displayed was an array of shiny treasures and trinkets, along with antique dolls and puppets that were fashionably dressed. The skull he had used on stage as a puppet was proudly on display. Wow, there's so many jewels and little treasures, it fits the atmosphere of the room so well. It seems you have an artistic eye. Jude seemed pleased I was looking through his collection with wonder. I took out my camera and snapped a few pics. Interesting that such a place was chosen out of all the other areas in this vast carnival. Jude ignored Remy's rhetorical contemplation and gently grasped my hand. You're out. Oh my god, that's so hot. Yiddy, stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it. Stop looking at this hot, gorgeous, evil man. But he's so hot though. Oh my god. Your outfit is so well tailored and stylish, Yiddy. Your hair is shiny and illustrious. Your skin is flawless. Your beauty radiant. Thank you. I would adore the chance to add you to my collection. You'd be its glittering star. Remy looked at Jude with curiosity. Jude ignored Remy's stare and suddenly picked up his skull puppet. What's that you say? Jealous of Yiddy. He giggled giddily and put the skull down. I can see why. Such an attractive, shapely skull. He ran a finger from the top of my head down to the nape of my neck. I shivered at his light touch. Not gonna lie, you're kinda giving me the creeps checking my skull out. I brushed Jude's hand away. Let's go see more of the haunted mansion. I walked out of the bathroom and ended up heading to a nearby library filled with dusty books, scrolls, and maps. Some of the books were open and revealed strange symbols and diagrams. A demon was crouched in the corner while specters flew around the room wailing. I was in awe of the detail put into everything and stared at the demon and arcane symbols. I excitedly took a few pictures of everyone and the environment. I noticed Jude looking at me unhappily for some reason. Before I could ask him, he was across the room poking at the demon. Remy looked around the area, scanning a few of the symbols and diagrams.
Pure drivel.
He picked up a paper and shook his head.
Contrived.
Oh, someone's a little salty. You look so disapproving. Aren't these all props? Of course they're fake. The prop maker could have tried a bit harder. Not everyone is a master magician. It looks pretty convincing to me. Remy looked amused, but said nothing further. Let's check out the basement now. Jude led the way, skipping down the basement steps. The walls were covered in chains, hooks, and torture devices. Hanging from the ceilings were lifelike bodies on hooks. Various limbs were missing, as if they were being used for meat. A demon-like butcher stood with an arm raised, poised to chop a mutilated human laying before it on a table. There was a large iron door on the furthest wall, where screams and moans emanated from it. Remy idly stood by me, taking in the setting, while I observed the room with shining eyes and took more pictures. I felt Jude staring at me again, as if he were unsatisfied. I gave him a weird look and ignored him, approaching the demon butler that was the centerpiece of this basement from hell. My god, every single expression he does is so hot. Oh dear, oh my god, seeing a sprite of this would be so sexy. Yay, what is wrong with you? Everything. Jude materialized right in front of me with an eerie wide grin. His eyes were bleeding rivulets of blood and his mouth was agape and bloody. It even seemed as if his very flesh was decaying. Yinny, why did you read it so seductively? I assume this is supposed to be a horror scene. I violently shoved Jude away. The shock caused me to move back and crash into Remy, whom I bounced off of. Before I could fall, Jude appeared behind me, back to his normal self, and innocently caught me. He readily took me into his arms. Jude, you're hugging me? Oh, wow. And how the hell did you even do that? Jude cackled at my confusion and the merriment of his prank, but he let me go. Remy had the slightest hint of annoyance laced in his tone as he spoke. Try not to send Yinny flying everywhere. He then focused on me.
Are you okay?
He offered me his hand, but I wasn't sure what his gesture meant. Does he intend to escort me the rest of the way through the mansion, to ensure Jude doesn't keep messing with me? Laugh it off and take Jude's hand. Sorry, Remy. Next time, though. I was blank for a bit before I burst out laughing. Wow, my heart is pounding. That was a good one. I bet he can give me another sort of pounding later. I'm alright, Remy. I laughed more before straightening up. Jude seemed perplexed but amused as he stared at me. Seriously, Jude, you have to tell me how you did that. I reached out for Jude's hand and laced my fingers between his. If I don't let you go, you can't scare me like that again, right? As I teased him, Jude seemed cautious. Oh, are we getting feelings? Did I break you? No, but you can break me later. He raised his hand, the one I held, and dangled it. What are you doing? Like I said, keeping you nearby when you can't surprise me anymore. Jude was now visibly startled, but slowly returned my gesture and held my hand firmly in his. He seemed at a loss on what to do next. Yeah, you didn't expect me to match your freak, did you, huh, Jude? Let's go check out some other areas of the haunted mansion. I'll let you show me the spookiest places. Still a bit shaken, Jude muttered, Oh my god, he's blushing. Oh my god, I've done it. It won't be as spooky if we're like this. You're so warm. Shush and let's go. You too, Remy. Remy nodded silently, following along. This is new, but it's not so bad. The faintest pink colored his cheeks. Towards the exit of the haunted mansion, I heard real screaming and multitudes of pounding footsteps. I rushed out to see what was happening, holding tightly onto Jude's hand. Upon exiting the haunted mansion, I stared aghast as people started to transform into grotesque features. They looked so odd and inhuman that they almost seemed alien. Look at Jude's face, he's so happy. This reminds me of that Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal meme when they're riding in the car. The carnival goers were transforming into true alien horrors. Is that one of the alien horrors on the side here? Wood. Anyways, tonight had already been so surreal that all I could do was go blank, mouth agape at the unfolding chaos. Not only were people transforming to unearthly beings, but they were going mad and attacking nearby people. A fully transformed alien horror turned to our group and let out a shrill shriek, running at us at full speed. It's coming right for us. He raised his hand, magic sparking from it. Oddly, it didn't seem as if Remy was trying to attack the creature. Either way, the alien horror didn't stop. We should probably flee, unless you want a battle. I watched in horror as the monstrosity launched itself at Jude, but the giddy Jester simply sidestepped it, plunged a hand in its chest and pulled out something squirming and alive. I looked wildly around, started running, while Remy ran ahead to lead the group. This way. Jude eventually caught up, merrily licking his bloody fingers. It was kinda hot. I looked away from him, both bewildered and disturbed. As far as I could see, carnival goers were running for their lives. I almost didn't believe what I was a witness to. Remy turned to Jade. We need to get to a less densely populated area. Then why not stay in the shadows? Oh? Jude practically pranced into the small space between the tents. Followed by Remy, I ran faster to keep up. They both suddenly halted before a large clearing. There was another group of tents beyond the clearing that we had to reach. Ready to dash across like rabid animals? The most effective method would be to zigzag. Try not to attract too much attention. Okay, we got this. Remy nodded and motioned to start running. Jude, Remy, and I dashed out from between the tents, and we were about halfway across the clearing teeming with people and transforming alien horrors when I realized I could go no further. I stopped, gasping for breath. There wasn't much else I could do. I retreated, and nestled myself in a small nook between two closely set up tents. I bent over, propping myself up on my knees as I caught my breath. A large crowd of people and alien horrors alike began to stampede across the clearing, separating me from the others. Realizing that I'd now fallen behind, I pressed myself closely against the tent, trying to remain hidden. An intense sudden wave of fatigue and malaise rolled over me. It was so powerful, it nearly knocked me to my knees. I could barely formulate a single thought. As I panted and heavily sat down, I used the tent behind me to guide myself down gently and quietly. Screeching rubber, blinding headlights, the sensation of cold metal causing burning pain, and the smell of gasoline invaded my senses. Why now? I knew those unforgettable sensations well. Through some miracle, I had survived that car accident. I had survived partially getting run over even. I'm not sure what the extent of the damage was. My memories of the incident and healing process are hazy, but I'm sure I've been feeling a lot better nowadays. However, sometimes out of the blue, I succumbed to feeling incredibly weak. It had to be an after effect of the accident, and unfortunately the fatigue and weakness were impossible to push through. I'd have to wait it out. I took deep, quiet breaths, trying to block out the horrific screaming and death occurring around me. This is just my body's natural reaction to my traumatic accident. This is how I feel because I'm still healing from something that could have killed me. I'm lucky to be alive. I'm so lucky to be alive. I chanted the words in my mind like a mantra. Eventually, my dismal state passed. An eardrum-shattering scream originated from just a few feet away. Somewhere in front of the tent I hid by, someone was definitely in trouble. For that matter, I would be too if I stayed here alone for too long. I need to think and act quickly. What should I do? Flee and run until I find my companions. There were so many alien horrors roaming freely now that there was no possible way I could fight any of them successfully. Nor was I in a position to help others when I could barely even help myself. The best course of action was to catch up with others as quickly as I could. Hello? After stealing myself, I sprung from my hiding place and ran in the general direction I last saw Jude and Remy head in. I dodged fleeing carnival goers and alien horrors alike. Luckily, I made it across the clearing and darted into another maze of narrow pathways between tents and booths. It was a clean break. No creatures followed me. To my disbelief, I spotted a black and purple-haired duo in the distance, and I immediately sprinted towards them. When I realized they were having an intense conversation, I slowed down. The lessers have all lost control. They can't recognize friend from foe. I wouldn't put it past them to attack even Yinny. I thought it was getting boring, and now I know why. I don't see Yinny anywhere. Remy seems slightly annoyed at Jude's lighthearted behavior. You know, if we don't hurry and find her, those nasty aliens may rip my precious treasure apart, or fuse with her and shock the life from her. What? Jude grabbed his heart and feigned a swoon. It's been about 2 hours since the transfer. It won't take long till the other half of the population is infected and the Reavers emerge. Lessers? Reavers? Full of questions, I made myself known. Jude, Remy, what are you talking about? What are Lessers and Reavers? I eyed the two suspiciously. They sounded like as if they knew what was happening, and even worse, were helping it happen. Do you know how people are turning into these horrific monsters? Remy seemed genuinely surprised at my sudden appearance, but Jude knowingly grinned, as if he knew I was listening in all along. So many questions. Be careful to ask only the right ones, or you'll grow even more confused and distrustful. He chided me playfully, as if he didn't have a care in the world. I took a cautious step back. You really shouldn't do that, my delicate doll. You're much safer here with us. Remy held out his arm, beseeching me to stop. We need to find somewhere secure. Now is not the time nor place to answer all your questions. That will come later. I gazed into Remy's calm eyes and faltered. Rest assured, I will see to it that you aren't harmed by any alien creature. Hi. Hello. Jude rested a hand on my shoulder. You're a precious collector's item. There's no way I'd let you become tarnished. Elden Ring reference? I can't handle it when he licks his lip like that. I felt conflicted and was tempted to press the matter, if it wasn't for an alien horror shrieking nearby. It was so uncomfortably close, so I gave my consent and the crypt began to move again. The tireless running was never ending. We alternated between full-on sprinting and sneaking past unfortunate people transformed into alien horrors. Eventually, we found our way into an empty tent. After securing all entrances and exits, it was deemed safe enough to rest in for a while. I was breathing raggedly, and all but collapsed to the floor. Remy was right there with me. He was pretty drained and sat down for a short respite. Jude, on the other hand, seemed to be experiencing the utmost ecstasy. Oh, he is a freak! And I like it. His eyes were crazed, People shrunken and his grin never faded. I was constantly worried he'd erupt into insane laughter and give away our position. Luckily, it never came to that. Minutes of silence stretched on until I caught my breath. You two seem to know what's going on, to an extent at least. What can we do right now? Is there anywhere that's safe so we can get out of this chaos? I suggest going anywhere powerful magic wards have been cast, like the main tent or my own tent. Shouldn't all sideshow tents have magical wards cast on them? Why should we specifically visit your tent, So mysterious. Remy brushed Jude's comment off. I'm only giving Yinny the best options I can offer. The show mistress specifically requested Yinny return to the main tent since it's the safest location. Wait, the show mistress gave them instructions about me. Why? Surely you wouldn't disobey the wishes of your own patron? Remy's voice turned flat. All non-existent humor gone from him. I wouldn't bite the hand that feeds. Just then the entrance tent flap was torn open. An alien horror easily broke in and began wrecking everything, tossing chairs and tables around. It noticed us immediately. It ran directly towards me but crashed into one of the tent's support poles, causing the lights to flicker. Everyone was scattered. Jude appeared by me almost instantaneously and whispered in my ear, "Follow my lead." Jude nearly blended into the shadows cast by the flickering light and strewn objects. He carefully led me towards the main entrance. The alien horror noticed Remy, shrieked and went in for the attack. Jude grabbed me by the arm, pulling me along as we made our escape. I felt torn leaving Remy behind, but I had hope he'd be able to fend off his foe and find his way to safety. I don't know how long I was running for, but I ran as fast and hard as I could to keep up with Jude. We were trying to shake off the alien horrors who had noticed and pursued us. It seemed like there were fewer humans around and more monstrosities, so it was impossible to stop moving, even for a moment. Just when things are looking their bleakest, dark shadowy entities emerged from the ground. They looked like mad silhouettes with their eerily stretched grins and crazed eyes. Their only discernible features were their eyes and mouths. Hey, yo, look at this one at the back, it's got extra tentacles. Reavers. What delicious black magic spellcraft. They're made of pure energy and cause such strife. The Reavers took down the alien horrors easily. They felt the monstrosity and cracked their chests open to reveal bloody, writhing slugs. I didn't get a great look at the slugs, but whatever they were, they looked and moved as if they did not belong to this world. They were truly alien-like creatures. Had those slugs caused all these people to transform into hideous horrors? You look like you're terribly dragging. Come this way, precious doll. Jude yanked me into the narrow alley between a cluster of tents immersed in shadows. I almost lost the gleeful Jester because he blended in so well. Jude guided me through the murky shadows, hiding us until our monstrous pursuers obviously ran right past us. If we can stick to the shadows like this until I reach safety, let's please do that. I was breathing heavily. As you wish. Jude continued to move in what I presume was the correct direction to safety. Tent with magic wards. Suddenly, my heart felt like it was about to burst. I wanted to keep going, but the weakness and fatigue of earlier crashed down upon my entire being. My vision started to swim. I was noticeably slowing down, all the while cursing the accident I was in and its after effects. I collapsed, my legs unable to support my weight. Why are you relishing in my suffering? Jude immediately appeared beside me and dragged me further into the shadows. He didn't say anything, and I was too breathless to utter much either. He brushed his index finger against my forehead, recoiling as if he'd been shocked. What a heavy energy to suffer alone. He clicked his tongue reproachfully and placed his hand on the nape of my neck. Let me consume some of it. What? I watched in astonishment as inky vapor emanated from my skin and climbed up Jude's arm. Jude was filled with pure bliss as he inhaled the vapor deeply. Oh, he is so into it. He is so... Oh my gosh, he looks so hot like that. Yinny, are you okay? No. I felt better immediately. Not completely, but I was finally starting to calm down. What did you do? I whispered. I sucked some of the poison out of a festering mental wound. What pain remains is physical. Well, thank you. I didn't understand completely, but the relief I felt was real. I feasted well. Your thanks falls on deaf ears. He snickered softly, which I appreciated since it kept us hidden. Will you be able to walk soon? No. Can you carry me? You've helped a lot, but I'm not sure. No matter. Jude shrugged, lifted me off the ground easily and slung me over his shoulder. Oh my god, a man after my own heart, but he's already had it since the moment I saw him. I kicked my feet in surprise, but tried to stay as quiet as possible. You can't help but wriggle, almost as if you want to stay in one molest. I stopped struggling, but definitely felt embarrassed at the position I was in. My butt was sticking in the air and my head and arms were dangling uselessly behind Jude. I mean, you could have bridal carried me. You're right, and Jude beamed playfully. Hang on, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Is that how it is with you when we're also doing it? And bumpy it was. Jude sprinted through the shadows for a while before coming out into a clearing. Immediately, 5 alien horrors surrounded us and attacked. I tried to twist around to see what was happening, but all I saw was half-obstructed views of Jude's free arm moving and giant mutated bodies falling. Jude's insane cackling filled my ears along with the sick crunch and squelch of broken rib cages and slug-like aliens being ripped from bodies. Occasionally, Jude ducked or jumped, but his grip on me was firm and not one alien creature landed a hit on either of us. Jude's shoulder jabbed into my stomach repeatedly, like a punch to my abdomen, but it was a small price to pay for safety and transportation. I recognized that Jude had taken me to the tent he performed in earlier, placing me down gently on the floor. It must have really had magic wards, because the alien horrors that were on our heels completely repelled. They seemed to be pounding on some sort of invisible barrier. I rubbed my sore stomach, and was about to thank Jude when he began pacing and cradling his head in his hands. The overwhelming rage, the bitter turmoil, the sweet malice, the euphoric cascade of energy a death generates. On my tongue, it's pure ambrosia, nothing compares. Oh, you are such a freak. I like you. Jude squealed in ecstasy. His eyes were bulging, his grin maddening. His chest heaved while his gaze darted about as if he were looking for his next kill. I remained quiet, but Jude's abyssal eyes found me. And here we have the illustrious source, the enchanting origin. He moaned almost reverently, "Ayo!" and appeared next to me sitting cross-legged. I seemed to have his full attention now. He grew a bit calmer as he sat quietly next to me, but he still wore a wide grin and rocked gently back and forth. I didn't know what to say, so I blurted the first thing that popped into my mind with as much sincerity as I could muster. "Thank you for protecting me." Jude's grin dropped. Oh, he didn't like that, did he? He doesn't like feelings and sincerity. I did it for what you contain, for what you are, for the pretty shell that you're wrapped in. He suddenly licked the side of my... Whoa! Hey, yo! I mean, but sure, go ahead. He suddenly licked the side of my neck all the way up to my cheek. He was all smiles again. Pure ambrosia spills from your very pores. Why are you licking me and moaning? Dude? I mean, I'm not gonna say no, but you know. I looked at Jude cautiously, cradling my neck where his tongue had randomly violated me. What was it that you did to me earlier? I struck down a few baddies. Impressed? He looked at his hands, reminded of the blood drying on them, and delightfully licked his bloody fingers. Oh, Jesus. Yes, but you also took this black mist from my body. How did you do that? You do a lot of impossible things. You're no mere illusionist. Oh my god, that face. And what are you willing to give up for such information? Would you become part of my collection? Why do you want me to be a part of your collection so badly? You're kidding, right? You're a collector's dream. Thank you. A prize that remains in mint condition and conjures powerful torment and bliss. I'm practically salivating. That description of me sounds wrong. I'm only human. What is it that you think I am or contain? Why, you've been handed the gift of the gods on a silver platter. Immortality, as long as you appease the Zyra. What's a Zyra? It's a living squiggly creature in your chest. He gleefully stood up and skipped over to the alien horrors pounding against the magic wards outside. He thrust his hand into one of their chests and came back with a squirming, alien-like slug. I immediately scooted back, but Jude held it in front of me. It darted towards my chest, sinking cleanly through my clothes and flesh. Ed, what did you do? I clawed at my chest but felt nothing other than my panicked, erratic heartbeat, which was normal. Calm down, I only fed your main Zyra with the lesser Zyra. It's much better if you eat the lesser raw, but absorbing it fresh offers a little energy too. I realized I felt better and had more energy, but I still freaked out at the thought of an alien creature living in my chest. This just raises more questions. Keep asking the right ones, and maybe I'll have answers. How did this all happen? And Jude yawned theatrically. What a vague question. It's too much to explain, and there's much even I don't know. Ask again, okay? Why do I have the main Zyra in my chest? That's easy. Your dear mother put it in there to wake you up. My mom? To wake me up from what? Jude shrugged and crawled over to me, leaning in closely. Agree to be part of my collection and I'll answer all your questions. I'll even tell you what I am and how I feed from you. Jude took my hand and kissed the back, licking his lips in ecstasy. I thought about it for a second, then laced my fingers in his as I had done at the Haunted Mansion. Despite his psycho antics, the action felt warm and comforting. Jude himself had made me laugh and he'd even kept me safe. The bar is on the ground, if not for dubious reasons, but still. I peered into Jude's beautiful lavender eyes with determination. I want to make something clear. I won't become a mere addition to your collection because I'm not an object. I'm a person with my own desires and will. Jude appeared, perplexed. His curiosity piqued. But you see, the items in my collection often have wills of their own, as spirits take residence in many of them. Well, what I'm saying is different. I drew closer to Jude and softly kissed his cheek. I'm proposing a partnership where we're both equals. I want to explore your world, learn about you, and create shared memories. That's the only way you'll have me by your side, as you insist. I won't be the glittering star of your collection, but I can be so much more if you're willing to work together. Jude very uncharacteristically paused and turned pink as he mulled over my words. I guess that's not a terrible counter-proposal. You may find it hard to believe, but more often than not, people run from me in terror rather than seek my glorious company. I held back a laugh. That's because you take pleasure in trolling them, and you're really good at bringing the macabre to life. I'm equally good at doling out delight. What's that supposed to mean, huh? You gonna whip it out? He purred. I felt myself heat up as Jude grinned, enjoying the state I was in. Just so you know, you can't change your mind. You made a verbal agreement to share yourself with me, and share yourself you shall. I mean, I'm not objecting. I nearly overheated when Jude gently took my hand and cradled it between his. Talking to you like this, knowing you want to spend time with me, makes me feel so warm. You make me feel warm and unsettled. And there was a faint blush gracing his features. Unsettled? Is that good? Yes. In fact, I crave it. I gently pulled my hand back, but Jude kept a hold of me and kissed the back of my hand gently. Unlike before, he didn't call me ambrosia or act as if he was consuming anything from me. Jude, if what you really want is someone to spend time with you, I'd be more than happy to be that person for you. Jude turned pink again, and it was easy to see that he was elated. I mean, I'm also elated. Look at this man. As if he wasn't sure what to do or say in return. He shifted to licking the back of my hand playfully. Okay. Overheating further, I quickly changed the topic. Okay, out with it. What was that black vapor earlier? What are you, and how do you feed from me? Jude suddenly grew serious. The truth is, I'm an extra-dimensional being who long lost my human sanity and depravity. You open the box. I'm here to inflict the ultimate pain and pleasure on you with my metal hook. You're really telling me you're a Hellraiser Cenobite? Hey, I need to have my fun too. Alright, I'm actually an ancient demon who woke up from a slumber a few days ago. Every 23 years or 23 days. I hunt humans, harvest their organs, and replace the organs that are failing in my body by eating them. I have to say, your eyes are looking mighty fine. Alright, so now you're the monster from Jeepers Creepers. Real nice. Now give me an actual answer. I'm interested in who you are. I'm actually the embodiment of this carnival, a manifestation of the energy it generates. All of the unbridled joy and sinful turmoil experienced here creates a huge amount of energy. That energy became sentient. Yours truly. I narrowed my eyes. I can't tell if you're joking again or not. Jude dramatically shrugged. I've held up my end of the bargain. Jude, if that's true, that's incredible. I didn't even know such a thing was possible. Unless Remy's magic books are all full of lies, it is possible, but rare. Does that mean you were created only tonight, because of the energy from this carnival? Foolish being, I'm 65 years old now. 65? And if you were born after the first Carnival of Curiosities, and it appears every 5 years, and this is the 13th Carnival. That's right. My beautiful doll is so clever, and you've been present for every one of them in some shape or form. At the beginning, you were but a lifeless puppet. Pretty, but not much of a conversationalist. Needless to say, you've changed. I don't remember any of it. The sound of thrashing against magical wards rang out loudly. It ruined our fun little conversation. If they keep that up, the wards will shatter. Annoyed, he stood up. Let's head to the main tent where the magic is stronger. Isn't there somewhere else we can go, rather than the main tent? I get the magic is stronger there, but Jude tilted his head. Oh, I have to hear this. Just what options do you think we have? Let's stay and ride it out, and then next time we'll escape the carnival. Never mind, you're right. Let's get to the main tent where we'll be safe. After all this, could you help me find my mom? I have so many questions for her. Vivienne should be at the main tent. That makes sense, since she has something to do with the Zyra. Then get me over there safely. I'm relying on you. The show mistress was the first person I saw as I arrived. She stood in the middle of a large magic circle with her back to the entrance. Blood and guts littered the floor. There was a particularly large pile of what looked like bloody organs on the side of the magic circle. However, I couldn't be sure since the lighting was dim. I was taken aback by the state of the main tent and the scene before me. I immediately regretted agreeing to come here. This place didn't look safe. If anything, the whole area reeked of death and danger. More than anything, I was worried about my mom. I mustered my courage and spoke up. Where's my mom? Is she safe? Why is he laughing? Jude cackled at my confusion, obviously amused. The show mistress turned around and slipped off her mask and hat, laughing. What's the joke? I must have changed quite a bit, because for some reason even my own daughter never recognizes me immediately. I was stunned when I realized the show mistress had been my mom all along. She had dyed her hair, wore clothes she never would have before, and was previously wearing a mask, which is why I didn't recognize her before, but it was undoubtedly her. I was surprised I didn't recognize her voice earlier. Now that I thought about it though, even her voice sounded different. It was more authoritative and unmerciful. Mom, I have to know if I heard was true. Did you really put this alien slug Zyra thing in my chest? You already know that I did, my mini muse. You forget when you slip into your coma between harvests. But it's getting better. You've been getting better. Thanks to the Zyra, you're awake longer and act more like yourself after each carnival. Coma, after the car accident. Yes, it was quite nasty. You were my sleeping beauty until the Zyra came along. So right now I'd still be in a coma. Yes, but so many people have died. And it was all for me. It was all my fault. Vivienne's laugh was sinister yet velvety. No, my mini muse, it was my fault, but I did all that for you. If you stop consuming the lesser Zyra, it won't be pretty. I stared at Vivienne in disbelief, but my shock soon gave way to rage. This is so twisted. You see that, right? This whole carnival is twisted. It's a mockery of everything Dad loved about carnivals. How could you slaughter so many people for me? Vivienne was taken aback. You've never been this upset before. What's the matter? Vivienne moved towards me and slowly and gently embraced me. I wanted to back away but couldn't bring myself to leave my mom's embrace. You really changed. This must be why I never recognized you. To think that you would do all of this. Vivienne ran her hand down my hair lovingly. Don't you understand? I couldn't bear to lose you. Not after losing your dad. Black magic was my only choice at happiness. It was the only choice I had to give you a life. And to think you picked a carnival to torture and sacrifice people at. Dad loved carnivals. It was you who put that statue of him by the carnival entrance, right? How do you think he'd feel if he was still alive watching all this death and chaos? Dad wouldn't have wanted any of this for me, yet you place his likeness here as if he's presiding over the whole carnival approvingly. It's sick. Vivienne staunchly disagreed. If that's so, why didn't you choose to leave? No one was tying you down. You could have left. Forget about morality. It's nothing but a nuisance. Stay here with me and you'll never be in any danger. You'll live a long life, longer than any humans. I was speechless. Vivienne looked up at Jude and smiled wickedly. Jude, thank you for bringing my daughter to me. It looks like you are to be trusted after all. I won't forget this. Whether I am to be trusted or not, you can't stop me from sticking around. Not when Yinny has already agreed to share herself with me. I did agree to boink him actually. I'm holding her accountable to her word. Please do. I would love to be held accountable by you, Jude. Vivienne raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I finally backed away from my mom and gazed at both her and Jude. So you're asking me to accept this? Accept everything that's happening here? The death, the pain, the suffering. All for my own benefit. It'll be the benefit of everyone working at the carnival, actually. How do you think nobody's aged after 65 years? We all benefit from the Zyra you host. We're all immortals. You'd take this away from everybody. Why fight this? You piqued my interest this time around, and I'll share everything I am with you. Listen here, hot man. You're making this very tempting, okay? I felt my chest, my rapidly beating heart. But just the thought of this carnival, of the alien slug existing inside me, makes me feel sick. I openly broke down sobbing. Jude slunk closer to me and gently fixed my wind-tousled hair. Without this carnival, without you and the Zyra, the source of my ambrosia, I would never ever have existed. Jude brought his lips close to my ear. His hot breath fanned over my ear and neck, jumbling my thoughts. Okay, this is no time to be horny. Thank you, Yinny, for continuously allowing me to exist by taking part in the carnival booth, both painfully beautiful and blissfully chaotic. His hypnotizing and alluring voice made me weak. Do I just agree to go along with all of this? No, we're stopping the carnival first. No, I can't. This is so wrong. Anyone would agree but the Carnival of Curiosities is twisted, and I want no part in it. Jude brought his hand to his chin, as if he were thinking and mused.
Oh, that's too bad. Vivienne will never let her precious daughter leave this carnival to die. And neither will I. I'd be a fool to let the source of my ambrosia, and the greatest form of entertainment, simply disappear.
Uh-oh. Both Jude and Vivienne seemed to be in utter agreement, a corrupt glimmer in their eyes. Oh my. Jude raised his hand and strings appeared from thin air. They wrapped around my wrists, arms and torso, and legs in multiple places. Before I could understand what was happening, I was suspended in the air like a puppet. Jude shifted his hand and contorted his fingers. My arms and legs limply moved. He did turn me into a puppet.
Full control. Just the way I like it.
Oh, Jude. I guess he's more of a dom. Jude, let me down. Mom, how dare you? I looked at Vivienne, betrayed, since she seemed to have no trouble in allowing this.
Like this, I'll be able to manipulate you in any way I please. You can even enjoy the carnival and your newfound life.
Jude spoke as if he was showing me the ultimate altruism, as if I should grovel and thank him. Strung up like this with no free will, how could I enjoy anything? My complaints fell on deaf ears.
Come, my ravishing puppet. We must commence the harvest.
Vivienne smirked as she picked up a handful of dead raw Zyra.
Eat up, dear.
No, I don't want to eat slugs. I'm scared of them. Jude, Bad End, ropes of betrayal bind the twisted marionette. Well, let's get more endings. Alright, we'll go back here and agree to go along with it. Maybe you're right. Maybe the Carnival of Curiosities is necessary. It's the only reason you're alive, Jude. It's the only reason I'm conscious right now. It's the only reason everyone working here has lived so long. And it's the only reason my mum is happy. Jude's grin was so wide it nearly consumed his face.
Yes, that's my glittering star for you.
I knew you'd make the right decision, Mini Muse. This is the best for everyone. You'll see.
After years of working together, Mum stepped down and I took over as the Carnival of Curiosities' new show mistress. Ariva walked in and threw a pile of lesser Zyra on the ground. Strewn around the tent were lumps of guts, raw and harvested alien slugs.
Immortality suits you, and only makes the ambrosia you create sweeter.
Jude purred. I grinned and blew him a kiss. Ever the suck-up, my loyal, adoring partner. How will we create even more pleasure and pain for our next captive audience?
There's time to discuss that yet. Let's just savor this moment.
Aww. I sat on an ornate throne in the middle of the main tent. I never felt more at home than when I was proudly among carnage and blood and harvested Zyra. It was all my doing, my creation. The power of my position was mind-numbingly delicious. Jude bent down, offering me a loving peck on the cheek. I giggled and greedily captured his lips, savoring the adoration and taste of my lover. Oh, ayo! He comfortably leaned against the throne's armrest, settling in, showering me with warm, soft kisses.
I'd follow you until the end of time, my ravishing show mistress.
Hehe. Jude's Grey End, the show mistress, eternal reign. Wow, Jesus. Alright, more endings. Alright, this time, we escape the carnival. Can't we just leave the carnival? Why lay low here when we can just leave? And let those creepy shadow creatures kill the lesser Zyra in peace. Leave? As if it was so simple. Didn't you hear anything I said earlier? I was right. You must have fluff between your ears. Be more specific. Why isn't it simple? Jude frowned, looking at an imaginary watch. We don't have much time before those mood killers break through the wards. He pointed towards the enraged alien horrors, tirelessly attacking the invisible barrier, keeping us safe. I have to know. Fine. I was created from the energy of this carnival and it sustains me. To a lesser degree, that same energy of delight and sorrow flows from you, from the creature you host. If we left, would my life be sustained? Did you know that without those innocent carnival goers transforming into monstrosities so that you can consume the lesser Zyra, you wouldn't even be here right now? Poor sickly woman. A car accident did a number on you. It put you to sleep for so long. If we left, would your life be sustained? I was conflicted and didn't know how much to believe. Jude is a troll, but even he must see how serious the situation is for me. Besides, he wasn't lying about the lesser Zyra. I felt the proof myself when I absorbed it and felt healthier. His story did line up, even if it was crazy. If my health really was that bad, maybe my mom did make me into an alien's host to hasten my healing process. I'd felt its healing effects firsthand, and if that was the case, my mom also had a hand in killing all the innocent carnival goers. It was a disturbing thought. A formidable heaviness weighed upon me. almost as if I were responsible for the lives of all the people tortured, transformed, and sacrificed. You know what? Forget everything I said about not leaving. I may as well venture out for shits and giggles. A bird can only stay caged for so long. So, what'll it be? Alright, leave anyway and survive at all costs. And then we'll do this one. I was in utter shock that my mom could torture and kill so many people for me. Without caring to talk to her first, Jude and I left the carnival. It was exhilarating to be in the outside world again. But immediately I began to grow weaker and weaker by day. I could feel my consciousness slipping.
You need to transform someone and consume a lesser Zyra to stay conscious.
No, I don't want to do that. I have to sacrifice someone so soon. I shook my head miserably, clearly conflicted. But do you know the ritual? Jude slowly grinned.
I know the ritual, and I'll even teach it to you.
There was a knock at the door. Jude went to answer since I didn't have the energy to stand up anymore. I finally found where you were hiding her. Where is she? I perked up at the sound of crashing, yelling, and Jude's cackling. The last person I expected came running in. Yinny, what are you doing here? You look so weak. You shouldn't have left the carnival. I can take you back. And Jude ominously stood behind Casey, staring at him with a dark grin. Oh my god. I wouldn't do that. Oh, Casey. Yinny doesn't want to go back. Casey looked at me to confirm Jude's words. It's true. I don't want to go back. I made the decision to get away from that madness. But at this rate, you'll fall back into your coma. Jude offered to show me the ritual. Jude knows it. Then what are you waiting for? I paused and shifted uncomfortably. I've never... with my own hands. Casey looked at me solemnly. I understand you never killed anyone or ordered anyone to kill on your behalf. I'm not sure I have it in me. Just snatch a random person off the street. Humans are everywhere, you know. They're a virus, so no need to be so choosy. Casey narrowed his eyes. Why can't you be a sacrifice, Jude? You know what I am. She needs a human. Jude laughed merrily while I began to tear up. Just the thought of killing someone so selfishly. I can't. Casey approached me and gingerly took my hand. Jude watched us silently, his expression unhappy. Oh, somebody's jealous. Is there anything I can do? Jude and I could just find someone and transform them for you. All we need is for you, Zyra, to produce a live lesser to begin the transformation. Tears streamed freely down my face. But the thought of killing someone unwilling, someone who doesn't want to die, I don't know if I could do it even for my survival. Casey hesitated for a long moment, staring at me almost longingly. He looked back at Jude for a second, then made up his mind. What about me? I'd be a willing sacrifice. No! Absolutely not. Yinny, I'd do anything for you. Oh my god, he is also a freak. That kind of makes him a bit hotter. Not gonna lie. I shook my head violently. What are you talking about? I could never. But I'm willing, and I don't mind. I've always owed you, and now I can repay you. You've owed me for what? This is crazy. As if reacting to Casey's proclamation, my chest began to hurt and my heart pounded. I looked at Jude. His eyes were glowing and his hands were surrounded by a red magical aura. I watched in horror as a lesser Zyra somehow cleanly shifted out of my chest and through my clothes. Casey allowed the creature to sink into his own chest without a fight. Oh, great. Casey, no! Jude, what did you do? You don't have long, Yinny. This really is the best way. If I can buy you more time, I'm happy. You're worth it. He gave me a bright sunny smile, one that I'd known since I was a child. It didn't take long for Casey to begin transforming, his body morphing into an unrecognizable mound of grotesque twisted muscle and tattered flesh. Casey screamed from the pain, his voice soon turning into the unrecognizable shriek all alien horrors had. Jude grinned widely and led the creature away from me. When the transformation was complete, he stabbed his hand inside Casey's mutated chest and pulled out the lesser Zyra. What remained of Casey was an alien horror that shuddered and collapsed on the floor. Wait, that's kinda sad. Jude extended his bloody hand and held the squiggling lesser out to me. Dinner's served. I was hesitant. Sacrificing someone didn't come naturally to me, and every fiber of my being was against it at first. I did what I could to survive because I didn't want Casey's sacrifice to go to waste. I owed it to him to live, but now, killing people has become a way of life for me and for Jude. What? Never in my life had I thought I'd say this, but capturing and killing my prey has become an enthralling game. I now feel like I understand my mom too. Sometimes you have no other choice than to become despicable to survive, so why not have fun doing it? Jude held the body of a limp man in his arms. He was still breathing.
My, you really charmed him, my ravishing doll. He didn't even want to run after he found out he would soon be your victim.
Oh, I guess he was really into that.
I can relate.
Oh my. I got closer to the unconscious man and produced a lesser Zyra through my newfound magical abilities. It swiftly sank into the man's chest. After he turned into an alien horror, Jude crushed his chest to reveal the lesser alien and offered it to me as had become routine. Okay, this is twisted but very, very cute. Also, Jude's shirt has no back. Does that mean it's literally just like the front? Hey yo. I ate it alive and raw without hesitation, going so far as to lick the blood from Jude's fingers. Oh, we are both freaky. Hot. Here's our monthly harvest. It's been a bountiful one.
It certainly has. You've inflicted such bliss and sorrow upon this victim that you're positively glowing with delectable energy.
Jude took me into his arms by my waist and greedily kissed me. It was ecstasy unlike anything either of us had ever known before.
The energy you generate now is even sweeter than a whole carnival of lives sacrificed.
He slipped his tongue into my mouth, tasting the blood and raw energy. I cradled Jude's face in my hands, my heart beating wildly from the kill, and from how heated I felt in his embrace. Jude and I live an unorthodox nomadic life, but it's one that neither of us would ever give up. Jude Good N. The Dark Descent of Love and Survival. I knew he was up. Alright, one more ending left to get. Alright, let's confront Vivienne and then accept the fate. Jude led me to the main tent where my mom was supposedly waiting all along. The show mistress was the first person I saw as I arrived. She stood in the middle of a large magic circle with her back to the entrance. Blood and guts littered the floor. There was a particularly large pile of what looked like bloody organs and dead lessers on the side of the magic circle. However, I couldn't be sure since the lighting was dim. I was taken aback at the state of the main tent and the scene before me. I immediately regret ever agreeing to come here, but I had to find my mom. Worried about her, I mustered up my courage. Where's my mom? Is she okay? Ah, okay, so this is the same. And then she talks about putting the Zyra into my chest? Alright, and this is where it divulges. How do you think Dad would feel if he was still alive, watching all of this death and chaos? Vivienne became pale and hollowly uttered, I can't bear to be all alone. My dad died from a terminal illness when I was 13. He didn't turn to the arcane. He gracefully accepted his fate and only tried to heal himself holistically with white magic and healing herbs. Yes, I remember that. There used to be so many herbs and poultices around our house. Dad wouldn't have wanted any of this for me, yet you place his likeness here, as if he's presiding over the whole carnival approvingly. It's sick, Mom. This has to stop. He left us behind, Yinny. We had to live on without him. For all his wisdom, he was so cruel to do that to us. That's how death works. That's how life works. He didn't do anything to us. I see him as a great role model, and he left us with such wonderful memories. I used to love carnivals because of him, but now I don't think I can bear to go to another. For as proud and strong as Vivienne was, tears streamed down her cheeks. You're being greedy and trying to play God. It's apparently been decades and I haven't aged. You haven't aged. Vivienne collapsed to the floor when she realized what I was going to do. Don't go. You can't just leave me like this. Her voice was now very weak. My heart tore, but if I stayed, the carnival would continue, and countless more innocents would die. I have to go. I have to stop this carnival. I refuse to participate in them anymore. Being in the outside world with Jude was a lot of fun. He experienced a life he'd never known, and I loved being the one to show it to him. However, after a few months, I felt myself growing weaker by the week, my consciousness slipping.
You need to transform someone and consume a lesser Zyra to stay conscious.
I am not doing that. I had to sacrifice someone so soon. I shook my head miserably, clearly conflicted.
I know the ritual, and I'll even teach it to you.
Jude slowly grinned and I adamantly shook my head. No, I've already made up my mind. We've gone over this. I can't sacrifice anyone. Jude was pensive, but said nothing further as I leaned in and gave him a short, sweet kiss. Another week passed and I couldn't get out of bed anymore. Jude, you have no idea how happy you've made me. I got to experience being a normal woman in the real world again. I wouldn't trade that time for anything. Lately, Jude has been uncharacteristically quiet. Perhaps he's mad at me. Or perhaps he's sad. I know I don't have a lot of energy left, but maybe you could finish me off and take the little energy I do have. I realize what I've done to you. I've removed you from your source of energy and my energy is coming to an end. I'm so sorry. Because I didn't want to kill any innocents, I was weakened. And now Jude may pay the ultimate price. When tears welled up in my eyes, I didn't want to face the facts, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Jude held my hand and smoothed my bedhead. His usual wide grin nowhere to be found. Looking at his face made me guilty. I wanted to cry, but I had no energy left to do so.
You are my most valuable shining gem, the source of my energy and joy. You didn't take me away from anything.
Oh, this is kinda cute and sad. The door slowly creaked open. Vivienne was standing proudly in the doorway. When she realized the state I was in, she rushed to my bedside and held my free hand.
I took so long to visit.
She shook her head in regret.
It's because you were right. Your dad was a good man, and he remains that way even in death. I was wrong for forcing you into black magic and sacrifice.
I couldn't reply well. My energy had already been depleted. I felt fatigue weigh heavily upon me like a lead blanket. Thank you for everything. I love you both. Oh man, this sucks. I exhaled deeply and slipped away from the conscious realm. Vivienne stumbled away, breaking down.
She's back in her coma. We need to get her to a hospital.
Jude was in disbelief. He squeezed Yinny's hand as if that would somehow wake her.
My precious doll?
The main Zyra Yinny hosted burst from her chest. Oh, well, I'm gone. Jude screamed in agony, clinging to her. He then became very silent and stared at her.
I feel it. My time's come. I love you.
Well, I guess we both just... This is sad. Jude became more and more transparent until he faded away. The energy that comprised him dissipated. Jude's true end. Delusions of normality. That's so sad. He doesn't even get to be happy. That's his true ending. Alright, let's also go back and get Remy's endings. So instead of taking Jude's hand this time, we take Remy's hand instead. Thanks, Remy. I took Remy's hand and interlaced my fingers with his. You really shouldn't do that to someone out of nowhere, Jude, but I get it. Trolling is your thing. Jude seemed unfazed, his voice sing-songy.
Worth it.
Remy stared at my hand in his for a while as if in a trance, not moving. Is something wrong, Remy?
No, this is just very comfortable. How strange.
I couldn't stop the nervous laugh that escaped my lips. What's strange about it? Remy looked away from our hands and into my eyes. I didn't expect something so simple could be so pleasant. His normally stoic features had softened slightly, and I felt my face heat up. Thanks for escorting me. Remy gave me a small smile before his features turned emotionless again. Not a problem. Though I ask you don't cling to me too tightly. I loosened my grip and gave him a sheepish look from under my lashes. Why don't we check out some of the other areas in the Haunted Mansion? I turned to Jude. Are you coming too, Jude? Show us the spookiest places the Haunted Mansion has to offer. Preferably something a little more realistic. Jude snickered. Leave it to me. Alright, and then we get attacked. And I end up losing them. So we're gonna try and find them again. Here they are. And this time, instead, the alien horror charges at Jude, and Remy pulls us to safety. I hear more coming. If we don't escape now, it may be too late. I felt torn leaving Jude behind, but he did seem to be enjoying himself, and was able to defend himself well. I'd hoped he'd find his way to safety, if that's what he wanted. Oh, don't worry, Jude is having the time of his life just ripping aliens apart. Alright, and then the Reavers appear. Those are Reavers, mere servants. Ignore them, they're only tools. How much further do we have to go? I managed between heavy breaths. The tent I performed at earlier is the closest. We should be drawing near. I thought we just passed another tent earlier that was a magic warded performance tent. You must be mistaken. Remy was curt, as if I was foolish enough to make such a comment. I think he's lying to me. I don't have any other options. I'll just have to keep relying on Remy. Okay, but I need to rest already. I can't keep this up. Understood. Though the shadowy Reavers killed many monstrosities, a few still managed to follow us. I wanted to keep running. Relief was almost in sight, but my heart felt like it was about to burst. I could feel the weakness and fatigue of earlier come surging back, and my vision started to swim. Though I could feel myself slowing down, I pushed on. Yinny. I felt as if I was drifting away. I faintly heard Remy call my name and saw him dashing towards me with bleary vision. He grabbed my shoulder and pulled me into his chest. His free hand glowed with an aura of light blue magic. The magic surged forward and threw back the alien horror that almost clawed me. Its huge body flew away. 2 more alien monstrosities came charging. Remy stood in front of me protectively. That's kinda hot. A mix of fire and electricity crackled from his hand and pierced through the chests of both the creatures. They instantly fell to the floor, their chests engulfed in flames. We can't stay here. As he muttered to himself, I fell to my knees, breathing heavily. 5 more creatures surrounded us, but I couldn't get to my feet. Remy's hand flared with a volatile magical energy that shot out. 2 creatures were immediately felled. 2 others swiped at Remy with their razor claws. He dodged, strafing out of the way. His concentrated electricity and fire burned a hole through the alien horror's chest. The slugs inside immediately disintegrated. The remaining alien horror made me its target. I was barely aware it was even here until it shrieked and rained its claws down upon me. Remy immediately threw a magical projectile into the creature's chest, but I had already been hit. Red-hot pain flashed through my abdomen. The monster's claws had gouged into my stomach. Jesus! Blood gushed from my wound and I immediately became dizzy, swooning. My world immediately went dark. The pain racking my body alternated between a dull throbbing and a sharp, searing pain. My surroundings slowly came into view once I managed to open my eyes. I didn't know where I was until I saw Remy looming over me and noticed the distinct pattern of the tent in the distance. I was in the same tent Remy had performed in earlier tonight. Don't move too much. I'm mending your flesh. I groggily peered down and realized Remy was holding his glowing hands over my abdomen. It strangely tickled. Then, it was as if my wound was entirely gone. Oh. All I did was mend your flesh wound to stop the bleeding. The internal injury is still there. Try not to move so much. I tried to sit up but was crippled with pain and stayed down. I warned you, he said simply. He then brought out a clean cloth and made it his mission to clean the bloody area around my mended wound. I silently watched as he worked on me with practiced hands. You seem really good at this. Not quite, but I've had practice on myself. Remy moved up to my arm and cleaned the gash I hadn't even noticed on my forearm. He used some bandages to wrap it. I winced. Thank you for everything. Now bear with me. He handled my arm somewhat roughly and I winced again. I may not be as gentle as I should be. I apologize. I'm usually the one being bandaged, not the one doing the bandaging. What do you mean? Remy hesitated, as if he did not want to speak. His dazzling blue eyes watched as I squirmed with pain, desperately trying to stay strong. Though my wounds had been mended, I was in constant agony. If this serves as a distraction, a painkiller of sorts, I'll answer. You seem like you don't want to share. It's okay. Remy shook his head as he finished bandaging me up. During my time as an apprentice mage, I often hurt myself trying out new spells. Magic is as dangerous as it is powerful. My master, Denton, was always the one to do the bandaging. It's hard to imagine you as a reckless youth learning spells. Remy remained emotionless, but somehow the air around him became lighter, and that was thanks to my master. Before I met him, I was a cautious person, too wary to experiment. He accepted me and taught me much. I'm in his debt. Accepted you? Remy hesitated again, but decided to share. I was an orphan. It was only until I was adopted by my master that I truly found happiness on top of gaining power. It was the first time I heard Remy speak so much. I found myself enchanted by his soothing voice and listened to you for hours. When I realized I actually said the words aloud, I became red and hastily turned away. Remy remained silent. Ignore that, please. What I meant to say was, I'm glad you found happiness in someone to share it with. I'm gonna shut up now. After Remy remained silent for a moment more, I heard soft laughter. I dared to sneak a peek at him, shocked to find Remy actually laughing. Did I die?
You're a breath of fresh air.
I'd enjoy sharing my sweets with you again sometime. My voice is not as deep as Remy's, I'm afraid, and I would certainly join you. About that, you do know that people don't normally hand-feed one another, right? Remy's eyes gleamed. Oh, I know. I figured I'd try it since you were the best candidate. You were acting as if you didn't understand why I was embarrassed. I wouldn't mind sharing sweets again too. No harm done. You were also excited to document other worlds, no? Beyond excited, my camera's ready. In fact, there are a lot of experiences I'd love to share with you. I carefully sat up, trying not to agitate my main wound. Remy stared at me evenly, his features as impassive as ever. There are a lot of experiences you want to share with me. He mulled over the words, his eyes locking onto mine. His gaze was intense and consuming. You're not an illusion, are you? He rested his hand lightly on my arm. Did I say something weird? Remy shifted his gaze to the floor and removed his hand. No, of course not. Remy was engrossed in his own thoughts. His behavior was a bit odd, but he didn't seem to want to share anything more, so I decided to get something off my conscience. About your master. If my asking about him earlier triggered something negative, I'm sorry. Remy pulled from his thoughts, looked at me for a moment. I was the one at fault. After all, your memory is gone after each carnival, I know that well. What? No, it's okay, I own up to— Wait, what? My memory? Yes, each time you fall into a coma and reawaken for the next carnival, you always lose your memories of everything that occurred after your car accident and subsequent coma. I stared at Remy as if he'd sprouted another limb. He slightly frowned. I suppose no one's told you anything yet. I shook my head and grit my teeth at the sudden pain that shot through my abdomen. I bet you're still clueless about your main Zyra too. I have a main Zyra, translated from Sumerian as bright or shining and from Spanish as gift of God. I'll give you a demonstration. From a side table, Remy picked up a dead alien slug. I hadn't even noticed it there before. This is a lesser Zyra, or a lesser for short. Please, take a bite. You're kidding, right? This thing is a raw alien. I mean, I don't mind aliens raw in other ways. You host the original main Zyra. Consuming this lesser will help heal your wound. You're still in pain, aren't you? If I host the original main Zyra, that means I have the main alien slug inside my chest right now. Yes. If you didn't, you'd still be in a coma. Your accident was traumatic. Regardless of Remy's composure, I freaked out, touching my chest, feeling nothing inside but my erratically beating heart. Don't worry, you won't change into a monster or get sick. Try eating this lesser. I was mentally panicking, even though Remy was trying to reassure me. This can't be real. But Remy looked so sincere. He's not the type to joke about this. The more I panicked and contorted, the more my wound acted up. Pain surged through my stomach and radiated into my legs. I groaned and grit my teeth again. This'll help with the pain. I finally gave in. It'll do more than that. It'll rapidly regenerate you. I don't want to eat a slug. I took the alien slug and braced myself. Biting into it was even worse than I thought it would be. The slug-looking Zyra was incredibly chewy, and blood spurted out with every bite. Oh, yuck! I was constantly gagging, but I managed to choke down a piece. And wouldn't you know it, the pain of my wound lessened, just on that one bite. I can't be 100% sure eating the Zyra was what helped. I braced myself and took another bite. With each bite, my pain faded and my energy came back. Before I knew it, I'd eaten the whole thing. I feel just fine now. That was absolutely disgusting, but incredible. I carefully stood up. While the wound wasn't fully healed, I felt almost no pain and could move just fine. The Zyra are intriguing. Miraculous even. But after this carnival is over, I'll fall back into my coma. Remy pondered for a moment. It's not certain anymore. Last carnival you fell into your coma for a very short period. Perhaps this time around you'll regain your consciousness entirely. I've never seen you so alive before. My giddiness at this good news faded when I realized the implications of consuming the Zyra. All of those innocent people were killed though. Don't tell me it's partly my fault. How did I even come to host the main Zyra in the first place? Under Vivienne's wishes, I aided her and made you its host. Vivienne? You mean my mom? Remy's unmirthful expression told me that's exactly who he was talking about. My mom did all of this. My mind went blank, refusing to process the information. She killed everyone. Oh, that's interesting. We haven't seen that expression before. You must understand, she doesn't want to lose the only family she has left. Of all people, I know how much those bonds mean. I know how losing them can drive one mad. I peered at Remy strangely. His words were so dark. The light in his eyes completely gone. A gnawing fear grew in my core. I was beyond frightened of the senseless death, of the darkness Remy showed, and even of my own mom. I nearly jumped a foot in the air when I heard a loud banging. It sounded as if someone was punching dense glass. The alien horrors outside were becoming more restless, slamming harder against the magical barrier that kept them at bay. At the rate they're attacking my wards, they'll shatter them. It's not an issue, as I can reinforce them. You mean stay here rather than going to the main tent? I thought the main tent was the best option. Remy lowered his gaze almost sorrowfully. We could go to the main tent, but that's where Vivienne's waiting. Are you so ready to face your mom, who has killed so many innocents and forced you to become an abomination? An abomination? Remy's harsh words hit me like a heavy weight, sending me crashing into a pit of doubt. Didn't you just say I should understand how she didn't want to lose me? Remy's stare was so intense it pierced through me. But at what cost? Your humanity. Oh, you are shaping up to be weird. I faltered. Remy spoke the truth. While I could understand my mom's intentions, she did kill so many innocent people just so I could consume the lesser Zyra and regain my strength. Then again, should I even trust anything Remy's saying about my mom? What was the truth? If my mom really is at the main tent, I could speak to her, if that was even what I wanted right now. Alternatively, couldn't I just leave all this behind? Escape the carnival? The freedom was alluring, a mess of emotions swirling through me. I decided to. Alright, okay, let's stay with Remy and ride out the chaos. While harsh, you bring up valid points, Remy. For now, is it okay to stay here? I want to think some things over. You made up your mind then. I nodded firmly. Remy had a faraway look in his eyes, an eerie smile creeping onto his features. You were not as nice as I thought you were. You were completely deceptive and evil. How fortuitous. I felt a cold chill run across my skin. Remy? My world went dark after I felt a swift blow to the back of my head. When light entered my world again, my head pounded and my eyes were sensitive. It took me a while to be able to see clearly where I was. Very quickly realized I was strapped down and couldn't move. I struggled against my bonds, but my wrists and legs were securely bound to a wooden table. And that's where I noticed Remy lurking, watching from the darkness. His stoic features were especially sinister as he walked towards me, an ornate dagger in his hand. Remy, what is this? My heart was pounding as I struggled further.
Resisting is futile. Don't damage my master's future vessel any more than it has been already.
You! To think you were hot and I wanted to fandangle you. I'm not anyone's future vessel. What are you talking about? Remy leaned over me, his lifeless eyes staring straight into mine. It felt as if I was looking into a void that was looking back at me, appraising me carefully.
I can assure you that you're being sacrificed for a higher purpose. To bring back my master.
That's not assuring at all. The dead can't be brought back to life. Remy hollowly smiled.
Those in comas, especially after a year, typically never wake up and have a high chance of mortality.
Dang it.
Yet look at you. You've defied the odds due to your gift of God, the Zyra. Rest assured, I can bring my master back.
You're crazy. Ow. Ow! Remy plunged the ornate sacrificial dagger into my lower abdomen. I hear a sickly squelching. An all-consuming pain radiated from the sharp metal, burrowing its way into my flesh.
Thank you for the fleeting, delightful feelings you gave me. But most of all, thank you for bringing back my master.
Oh, you are unhinged. It's kinda hot. But I wish you didn't kill me. Remy leaned forward. and with that same eerie hollow smile, gave me a deep kiss. Hey, yo! Oh my god! I was so stunned at his actions, at the whole scenario, that I froze. I barely registered his hot tongue moving roughly against mine. Before Remy could move away, I used all my power to push through the pain and force myself up, savagely biting his bottom lip.
I will keep my master waiting no longer!
He grimaced and quickly commenced the ritual. Oh my goodness. A blinding red magical light soon swallowed me, and my mind was no longer my own. Remy Bad End. Dark resurrection with a bite. What the hell? Damn it! Alright, find my mom at the main tent. While harsh, you bring up valid points, Remy. Still, I need to speak with my mom directly. Guide me to the main tent, please. You made up your mind then? I nodded firmly. Remy had a faraway look in his eyes, undoubtedly displeased. How unfortunate. I felt a cold chill run against my skin. Remy? Oh, is this the same? Yeah, it's the same ending. Okay, still the bad ending with this one, so we're gonna have to pick the other options, I think. Escape the carnival. Isn't it possible to simply escape this carnival? I don't want to stay here a moment longer amongst all this death and chaos. Escape. Leave. Remy slowly enunciated the words as if he had never thought of the concept himself. I don't see why that's not possible. That is what you wish. I nodded eagerly. Don't you just want to leave this mess behind? I can't stand the smell of blood and decay anymore. It makes me feel sick. Remy deliberated for a moment. Truth be told, I do tire of this place. The chaos is jarring and the lessers attacking us when they shouldn't be. You mean those monsters aren't supposed to be attacking us? No. Something went very wrong this time around. Out of all the carnivals Vivienne and I have ever ran, the lessers have never attacked us. Some variables must have changed. You appraised me carefully. Maybe it's you. Your newfound health may be interfering with the lesser's ability to recognize the original Zyra, though I can't be sure. I didn't know what to say. Please, let's just leave. Remy acquiesced by offering his hand. Well, that was easy. Follow me. Not knowing our destination but needing the escape, I accepted his hand. I found myself in a quaint gothic room, sitting on a comfy couch. Remy had claimed the place as his. When he wasn't at the carnival, he spent his time working and studying magic here. I flipped through my camera's gallery. The version of myself I saw reflected in the picture seemed almost alien. Pardon the pun. I definitely didn't look as energetic, alive, or cognizant. Remy was right about that. These pictures go back years, and the current date. It can't be right. It is October 31st, 2085. Then I've been attending the Carnival of Curiosities for decades. The whole situation had been surreal until now. But seeing the physical evidence of past carnivals in my very hands made my stomach drop. On top of that, I still don't know how to feel about my mum's part in all this. I want to talk to her, but I'm not ready yet. I frowned. I put down my camera and slumped over, feeling utterly morose. I gently touched my chest. I get that she wanted to save me. You said I was in a year-long coma, right? The chances of my survival were slim. Slim to none. I sighed, tears pricking the corner of my eyes as I thought of all the death I had just witnessed. All for my sake. Remy suddenly got up and went to the kitchen. I almost didn't even recognize that he left. I just sat there numbly trying to cope with my new reality. When Remy finally did come back, it was with a plate of freshly baked cookies. Oh, that's cute. Look at him. Oh, he's so big. I made them to share with you. Try one. I realized how hungry I was and I picked up a soft cookie. The aroma it created was delectable. I tried a small nibble, but ended up scarfing down the whole cookie in just a few bites. I was trying to savor it, but it was too good. Remy offered me another cookie. I glowed with delight as I ate. Before I knew it, I'd lost track of how many I'd scarfed down. I've never seen a person eat that many of my cookies at once. He was mildly impressed but regarded me with affection in his eyes and a small smile. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I totally binged, but I couldn't help myself. I have to admit that cheered me up. Thanks, Remy. It was a small one, but I felt myself actually smiling. You ate some too, right? Not exactly. I got caught up watching you devour most of them. Then yeah, have some too. I picked up the last cookie and offered it to Remy, holding it up to his lips. I noted that Remy began to blush, but he took a bite anyway. Now we're even. How did it feel to be fed this time around? Remy looked away for a moment, apparently bashful, before meeting my eyes. Quite gratifying. I'd like to do this again. Hehe. I'm looking forward to it. Just because I left the carnival didn't mean that I had left behind the darkness. The Zyra dwelling within me, nor the fact that I was reliant on the Zyra and consuming lessers to stay healthy and conscious. After a couple of months living with Remy, I noticed that twice a month he'd leave for a few days then come back with the lesser Zyra for me to consume. I knew he couldn't be using any savory means to procure the lessers. He was doing the dirty work for me, shielding me from the horror and pain I'd fled when I left the carnival. As he had taken to doing occasionally, Remy had me sitting on the table as he monitored my vitals. You're doing remarkably well with consuming 2 lessers a month. You don't seem to be at risk of slipping back into your coma. So for the first time, I'm able to retain my memories. You're stable. If things keep continuing this way, yes. Despite the situation, that people had to be sacrificed, I felt myself smiling. Girl! It was terrible, powerless feeling to succumb to detrimental health issues. I felt as if I was just now gaining more power and control. You're doing a lot for me, so I've been thinking as a way to repay you. Would you like to go out somewhere together? Go out where? I noticed that you tend to stay cooped up in your personal library or study working. You rarely go out unless it's to the grocery store or to obtain lessons. You're pretty much a hermit. He didn't react much to my teasing, but that was to be expected. Why don't we go out to the public library? Why, when I have my own library? Remy was so blunt, I frowned. First of all, you don't let me into your personal library. Of course not. Many of the books have powerful wards or enchantments placed on them. Not to mention, they're probably in dead languages. How do you know that? I might have peeked at the books you leave around the house. I giggled. Anyway, that's not the issue. Second of all, you're limited to the books you or your master had selected. At the public library, there's a lot of books we could have fun reading together. Remy remained silent, thinking. I nudged him playfully. Come on, just accept. It'll be fun. Remy seemed unsure. He was pretty averse to trying new things that weren't magic related. Are you okay? I told you before that I'd love to share a lot of experiences with you. This is one of them. If this is one of the experiences, then okay. It wasn't a surprise, but Remy had never been to a public library. Honestly, it seemed like he'd never even been on a real date since he was so consumed with work. Libraries had changed quite a bit, but vintage libraries still existed. Ones that consisted primarily of books, though they were rarer and less popular. I led Remy to a secluded reading area and sat next to him, leaning my head on his shoulder while he held a book open that we'd both chosen. His body tensed up as he felt me cuddle closer. Hehe. I looked up at him, pleased to see his cheeks were red. Is this how you usually read with others? No, it's how I like to read with you. I wouldn't do this with others. I smiled mischievously and laced my arm in his. It was pretty cute how awkward he would be, and I was savoring it. On the way home, we held hands as we usually did. However, recently it began to feel more intimate. It doesn't seem as if he's holding my hand to keep tabs on me anymore, but because he enjoys my companionship. Although Remy was as stoic as ever, he treated me tenderly. Back home, Remy hung out with me in the living room. Do you always enjoy such depressing and disturbing literature? Yes, only when it's horror-laden or thought-provoking. Same. Remy smiled at me. He'd been doing that a lot more often and it made me feel giddy. I'll keep your eccentric taste in literature in mind for the future. Good, because I'd love to go to the library and read with you more often. Having more similar experiences would be a treat. I accept. Then be ready for me to constantly bug you to go out more. Remy softly chuckled. It's not bugging, if the feeling is mutual. Hey, ooh. Remy, can I ask you something personal? He nodded. This may be insensitive of me to ask, but you seem like you've always been a solitary person. Have you been alone a lot before? Remy's expression clouded. I was alone a lot before my master adopted me, and after he was gone, so yes. I'm sorry if that was painful for you. This will probably sound silly, but I'd like to be with you. If you don't want to feel alone again, I'd love to be the one by your side. He's smiling. Remy stared at me intensely, then wrapped me into a hug. I was caught off guard by his sudden passion, but carefully wrapped my arms around him as well. Is this the part where we do it? When his grip on me finally loosened, I noticed his eyes were watery and glistening. Somehow you know just what to say. I can't imagine living without you. He said the words plainly, but I could tell he was completely sincere. Remy was not the type to say anything carelessly. I soared with happiness and tried to hug Remy again, but he gently pushed me away. There's something I've been hiding from you and I can't do it anymore. If you knew the type of person I was, you would have left long ago. What are you talking about? I was planning on using your body as a vessel for my former master. I figured out how to bring him back from the dead long ago, but could never find a vessel that lasted through the ritual. Human bodies alone are too weak. My blood ran cold as I tried to process what he just told me. Human bodies are too weak, but maybe not a human body that hosts a Zyra. You were using me, manipulating my emotions. You're too sacred to me now, I could never go through with it. I didn't want to be alone anymore, but I was foolish to think the only way to accomplish that was by resurrecting my master. I know that now and I won't make the same mistake. I stood up, angry tears threatening to fall from my eyes. Remy, how can I trust you now? I don't know. You may not ever be able to trust me again, but there's one thing I must ask of you. You dare ask anything of me right now? I want to encourage you to speak to Vivienne again. I admit that at the carnival I was discouraging you from meeting her, because I didn't want her to interfere. Remy dropped down to his knees, his eyes unusually fervent. Couldn't keep this from you anymore. Apologize and vow to always protect you. I'll make this up to you for as long as I live. Oh boy. Alright, let's leave first, and then we'll accept his apology. This is something I just can't forgive, and I can't accept your apology. I remained standing and left, slamming the door behind me. Remy watched Yinny leave with disdain and narrowed his eyes. Yinny, do you really think I'll let you leave just like that? Oh boy. Oh my god. Oh my god, he like flipped real quick. Remy Good End ? Requiem of Remorse. Now it's a bit of an open ending though. Let's go back here and we'll accept the apology. I slumped back down onto the couch. Are you always this honest to a fault?
I've always tried to stick to the truth. It's better than living in lies, even if it can get me into trouble.
How can I trust you? Won't you change your mind?
How can you trust anybody? I haven't harmed you. I didn't hide the truth from you. And I'm encouraging you to speak to Vivienne again.
Why tell me this now?
I couldn't hide something like this from the person I want to share everything with.
Aw, I guess you're forgiven. Yay! Have some common sense. I scowled, feeling annoyed and betrayed by him. It aggravated me that I could understand his perspective, even if only a little. I have a right to not forgive you yet.
I understand.
But I will accept your apology. Remy, still on his knees, held my hands, his gaze filled with clarity and passion.
I promise to earn your forgiveness and only bring you happiness from now on.
Aww. I could see him leaning in closer, his eyes begging for permission to kiss me. I felt like I was crazy, but I nodded. Remy closed the gap swiftly and ardently pressed his lips against mine. His touch and caresses said more than his words ever could. They betrayed a passion hidden and a desire that he didn't display to anyone else. Remy Good End, Requiem of Redemption. And that's all of the endings for Jude and Remy. Alright, there's one more thing I want to do though. So this time, we are going to help the screaming person instead. Though I desperately needed to catch up with the others for safety purposes, I couldn't just ignore someone being attacked right beside me. On the ground nearby, I spotted a long, thin metal tent spike that had gone unused. Without making a sound, I picked it up and sprung from my hiding place. Bad idea. At the front of the tent, a shaking mother hugged her son, shielding him from the creature. Just as the alien horror was about to pierce her back with its claws, I flanked the creature. Using the metal tent stake like a spear, I jutted the sharp metal into the alien horror's abdomen. It shrieked and thrashed, but I was able to pull my weapon out and stab the creature again, this time in its chest with all my might. Something crunched inside of it. It was a sickly sound that made me wince. The unearthly creature staggered back, inky blood painting its body and my makeshift spear. Blood wasn't the only thing clinging to my weapon. I noticed a small slug-like creature writhing on the tip of the sharp metal. Instead, I'm not quite sure what I was seeing. Was this thing causing people to transform into abominations? It was hard not to believe, but there was no other explanation. It didn't look like anything I'd ever seen or heard before. Maybe it really was an alien, as if it had been shot out of a gun. Alien slug darted down the tent stake. I felt its slimy body slither across my hands and effortlessly sink into my chest. I screamed and threw down my weapon, freaking out as I tore at my chest. There was no wound, no pain, but my eyes didn't deceive me. The alien had burrowed into my chest. I snapped out of my frenzy to see the mother I just saved pointing the tent spike at me. You're one of them now! The woman kept her son behind her back, rushing towards me. I'm not gonna wait for you to transform too. Whoa, hey! Stop it, you crazy woman! I dodged her attack, but she was determined. I attempted to run away while she relentlessly pursued me. She drove the metal spike through my back as I fled, and I tumbled down. I was mercilessly stabbed multiple times, until I lay motionless on the ground, bathed in my own blood and gasping for air. Common death end. Forsake all others. Damn it! What about the other one? Is it also a common death end? Alright, so we grabbed the spike. I dodged fleeing carnival goers and alien horrors alike. One of the creatures took an interest in me and managed to wedge its way in my path. It gave a shrill shriek. Its terrible mutated body heaved with every breath, as if it were a terrible effort to remain alive. With multiple eyes transfixed on me, it swung its large claws aiming for my face. I was barely able to dodge. I jutted the metal tent spike into the alien horror's abdomen with all my strength. Inky blood spilled from its wound, traveling down the tent spike and coating my hands in a dark, foul-smelling ichor. I lost my grip on the makeshift weapon. The alien horror lurched and shook, screeching loudly, lightning fast before I could even comprehend what was happening. Its sharp claws burrowed into my chest, easily cleaving through my ribcage and slicing into the contents of my chest cavity. Feeling my inside shift, torn asunder, pain exploded through my body. I felt myself fall, landing on soft dirt. The alien horror that took me down shrieked madly. There was a cacophony of transformed monsters that shrieked as if they were being attacked. I heard their bodies plop loudly into the dirt. As my vision grew darker and colder, my pain subsided. I was no longer part of this world anymore. Common death end, torn asunder. Damn it, man! But those are all of Jude and Remy's endings. I hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough of Twisted Carnival. I had such a good time. I started this game thinking that Jude was going to be my favorite, so the Jester, and I think he still is. However, I did not expect Casey, like our childhood best friend, to have that kind of expression that he had. I have a suspicion that Casey might be the most unhinged out of all four of the love interests. So I'm going to do another playthrough and cover Casey and Leon's routes next, because I also want to meet Leon. I haven't had a chance to really speak to him yet. or really get to know him. We're going to do that in another video in the very near future, but thank you so much for experiencing the story with me. From what we've seen so far, which of the companions is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And also, if you want to hang out outside of these videos, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week. Feel free to come over and hang out with me in the community. But that's all for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.